I was listening to the radio earlier this summer. It was CBC. I was listening to Tom Power. He's the host of Q. And he was interviewing a pianist from Iceland by the name of Vikingur Olafsson, who told the story of his parents as newlyweds. He said they had a choice with what to do with their very meager savings. They could put it down as a down payment on their first little home, or they could buy a Steinway piano. And they chose the piano. And Vikingur Olafsson tells of growing up as a youngster in such a small rental flat that the piano took up the whole living room. And he spent his days listening to his mother give piano lessons. And in the evening, to his mother and his father, discuss piano theory and play the piano. So fast forward a few decades, and Vikingur Olafsson is the most sought after concert pianist in the world. And his YouTube videos, his YouTube channel has reached in excess of 1 billion views. So what we prioritize in our lives is what shapes us. And we as a community prioritize the love of God at the center of all things. And the neat thing about that is when we prioritize the love of God, the welcome takes care of itself. There are no gatekeepers. The welcome of God is wide. Everyone is included. No matter who you are, no matter how you've come today, no matter who you love, no matter your age or stage, no matter whether you're here in person or watching online, you are welcome in this place. My name is Tama Ward, and I'm the Minister of Children, Youth, and Families here at Canadian Memorial. My two colleagues, Jeff Rock and Kathy Merchant, are both away on late summer holidays, and we bless them in their travels in Western Canada. And I'm pleased to be sharing the service with my daughter, Abigail. Abigail has been working as the summer student intern here at the church, not with VST, people might assume, but actually with Canada Summer Jobs. The first of what we hope will be a few students assigned to this location over the next few years as we prepare for our 100th anniversary as a church. And so she has spent the summer delving into archives, tasked with primarily doing an inventory of our collection and getting it sorted, understanding what's there, what we have to work with, as well as doing some what we call living archives, hearing the voices and the stories of people who are still with us. So Abigail is a fourth-year student at Emily Carr University, and I should, as a caveat, add, I was not involved in her hiring. So, no conflict of interest. So if you're new here, there's a few things that we always like to highlight. Throughout the service, there'll be singing. Some of us stand, some of us even dance If your preference is to sit quietly and just observe, you're welcome to take in the service however you'd like. There's no expectation in that regard. Also, a little later in the service, the children and youth will be invited forward for the lighting of the Christ candle. Then they'll go out for their own programming. So any children or youth are welcome to be a part of that. There's unsupervised nursery as well as washrooms through these doors. And if it is your first time, we'd ask that you fill out that connection card that's in the pew. It's pink in front of you, and then we would be able to follow up, perhaps with a visit if you'd like, or you can indicate on there what would be meaningful. And there's also a gift for newcomers at the doors from our greeters, and the gift is a small candle, and it's a way of sort of taking this sacred space with you back into the week, and if you need a moment for sacred pause, then you can light that candle. And then finally, we do have a digital Zoom coffee hour and/or an in-person coffee hour over at the Center of Peace, and everybody's welcome across the alley for that. There's a special opportunity today that Abigail's going to tell us about in a little bit. So we want to begin our time together in a good way and acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional unceded lands of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. And Abigail, I know that you have spent quite a few days this past summer, not in our archives here on the church grounds, but actually in the United Church archives, which are located on Cordova Street, Cordova and Main, in the downtown east side. Now, tell us, what is it that church archives uniquely have to offer in the work of reconciliation?
Thanks for asking. Call 93 in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission is requesting that museums and archives make their collections accessible to Indigenous communities, especially communities that were impacted by residential schools. And so I've spent the summer watching Blair, the archivist, down at the United Church Archives, digitizing a lot of those records so that they are accessible for those communities.
Okay. And understand also just the church baptismal and funeral records are of value to the Indigenous peoples?
Yeah, sometimes it's the funeral and baptism records are the only records of names that are held, and so filling in any
like a genealogical gap.
Yeah, it's the place to go because sometimes it's the only place it's recorded.
Okay, wow, very cool, thank you. So reconciliation happens on many fronts. We live in a divisive world. It's important whenever we have the chance, wherever we are, to reconcile with those around us as we are able. And the church liturgy offers an opportunity for that. It's an ancient practice. It's called the passing of the peace, and it gives us a chance to be in good relation with each other, even here in the community. So I invite you to stand as you are able, turn to those around you, and with a sign or a gesture or a word, extend the peace to each other. Peace be with you, Mary. Pardon my focus.
Nice to see you. Yeah. Peace of Christ, Tama. Nice
Peace of Christ. I've lost my other papers.
Peace of Christ.
I like the color on you.
Peace be with you, Alice. Yeah.
Peace to you.
Thank you. Peace to you. Welcome. I'm Tama. Yes.
Over
each other's ways, where love is lived and all is done with justice and with praise. Oh, for a world where goods are shared and misery relieved, where truth is spoken, children spared, equality achieved. The poor are rich, the weak are strong, the foolish ones are wise. Tell all who mourn, outcast belong, who perishes will rise. We welcome one world family and struggle with each choice that opens us to unity and gives our vision voice. That opens us to unity and gives our vision voice.
Each summer, our children's program takes place outside, and we try to focus on one dimension of creation that impacts our grounds and our gardens. So one year it was trees, another year it was birds. We've done the insects. This year our focus has been the sun. The children have been exploring the sun and the gift that it is to the earth community. And so we've done things like measure shade and make sundials and this kind of thing. And last week, the kids wrote up a contemplative prayer, working off a template, reflecting on how the sun actually invites us into the presence of God. So Nadia is going to read the prayer that the kids wrote together as our opening prayer.
As a flower
Okay, start again. Let's get it. Make sure it's turned on. Just gonna make sure it's turned on here. There we go.
As a flower opens its petals to the sun, may we open our hearts to your love. As a child sits by the window and watches the sun, may we watch the world for glimpses of you. As a bird sings at the rising of the sun, may we sing songs of praise to you. As comets blaze into the sun, may our eyes blaze at the wonder of your presence. As planets dance in relationship to each other around the sun, may we dance in relationship to each other around you. Amen.
Beautiful.
Okay, and then I would like to invite any children or youth, teens that are with us. You're welcome to come up to the front. And this morning, they're going to have a great time with a returning special guest who has come summer after summer and helped in our programming, and that's been Judy Evgen. And she's going to delve into another solar mystery with the kids, which is the Northern Lights. But for now, Abigail is going to come a moment with. Yeah. It's turned on. Just to call them around.
Hello, kids. I've got something to show you, so you might have to come a little bit closer. You want to see what's in my treasure box? Great. So what I have here is a treasure box, and this is from my bedside table at home. And what I keep in it are little bits and bobs that are very special to me and might not mean anything to anyone else, but to me they're key pieces of what makes me who I am. So I've got in here a photo from a photo booth of me and my little brother. And I've got, do you guys know what these are? No, these are called slides. And if you hold it up to the light, you can kind of see a little image in there. You guys want to pass that around? So in that one, that's a photo of my grandmother and my mama. You see the picture in there? And then I've got a little note from a dear friend of mine. And so this treasure box of mine is kind of like the archives. It's kind of like my own personal little archive. And so the archives that I've been working with this summer are like a giant treasure box for the church that we're a part of. And it's full of photos and stories and letters written. And so it's, I encourage you guys to keep little bits and bobs that are special to you and start your own little archives. Thank you.
Maybe Ben, would you light our candle for us? Yeah. The light of God in all of us and through all generations.
I invite you to stand as you're able and join us in singing Blessed Are the Peacemakers.
Lovely.
Yeah?
Perfect.
Is it too long?
No, perfect.
Blessed are the peacemakers, blessed are the peacemakers, blessed are the peacemakers, they are called children of God. Blessed, blessed are the peacemakers, blessed are the peacemakers, blessed are the peacemakers, they are called children of God. Felices los pacificadores, los pacificadores, buscan la paz aquellos son hijos de Dios. Blessed, blessed are the peacemakers, blessed are the peacemakers, blessed are the peacemakers, they are called children of God. Blessed are the peacemakers, blessed are the peacemakers, blessed are the peacemakers, they are called children of God. They are called children of God.
Please remain standing as we change instruments over here.
When bushes burn with blazing light, and we must turn to see the sight, let all the world come gather round, for common ground is holy ground. The risen Lord in glory seen, transfigured face and garments clean, our vigil kept, by silence bound, for common ground is holy ground. A narrow mind, a fearful soul, makes truth in part to be the whole. So small a space can hate surround, but common ground is holy ground. Let voices sing in gathered prayer, so all may know God's loving care. For peace on earth will finally sound, when common ground is holy ground. Though walls divide the friend from foe, a deeper truth we then must show. Our witness clear, love can be found, where common ground is holy ground. Let voices sing in gathered prayer, so all may know God's loving care. For peace on earth will finally sound, when common ground is holy ground.
Good morning. Today's scripture reading comes from the book of Psalms, number 147, verses 3 to 13. Great is the Lord and greatly to be praised. God's greatness is unsearchable. One generation shall extol your works to another and declare your mighty acts. They will recount the glorious splendor of your majesty, and on the wondrous works I will meditate. They will proclaim the might of your awesome deeds, and I will declare your greatness. They shall celebrate the fame of your abundant goodness, and shall sing aloud of your righteousness. The Lord is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love. The Lord is good to all, and God's compassion is over all that God has made. All your works shall give thanks to you, O Lord, and all your faithful shall bless you. They shall speak of the glory of your kingdom and tell of your power, to make known to all people your mighty deeds and the glorious splendor of your kingdom. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and your dominion endures throughout all generations. Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. Thanks be to God.
Hello again. As mentioned earlier, I'm Abigail, and I've had the pleasure of spending my summer researching the history of Canadian Memorial United Church and the Centre for Peace. Thank you for sharing your stories with me. Our story as a church starts over 100 years ago. While serving as a chaplain in France during the First World War, Reverend George Follis made a commitment to the soldiers he had buried to build a peace memorial upon his return to Canada. In May of 1920, Follis returned home to Vancouver and commenced making his vision a reality, never with any intention of glorifying war, but with a deep calling to be a peacemaker. In 1923, 6th Avenue Methodist Church and 14th Avenue Methodist Church amalgamated and became the Canadian Memorial Congregation, with Reverend Follis as their minister. The Memorial Hall was the first building to open on site in the February of that year, and for the next 5 years, as the sanctuary we worship in today was being built, the congregation gathered each Sunday in the hall's gym. The decision to construct the Memorial Hall before the church sanctuary was a deliberate one, designed to create space for the wider community to come together, both within and beyond the context of worship. The hall featured a gymnasium, a large kitchen, and one of Vancouver's earliest indoor swimming pools. It became a hub for community life, a place to gather, celebrate, play, and pray. This commitment to community building was an act of peace, offering connection and healing in direct contrast to the divisions and losses of war. Although the first building to open on the site was the Memorial Hall in 1923, the cornerstone for the chapel, the sanctuary we are in today, was laid on October 28, 1922. After 5 years of worshiping in the hall and constructing this building, the church was completed. On November 11, 1928, Reverend Follis held the first service in this church. It took place on the 10th anniversary of the end of the First World War. There are many things that make Canadian Memorial uniquely historical. The church houses one of 2 copies of the Books of Remembrance, which contain the names of all Canadians who served and died in the First and Second World War, as well as the Korean War. These are housed in display cases at the front of the chancel and in the west transept. On Sunday, November 18th, 1928, the memorial organ was dedicated. This Sunday was titled International Goodwill Sunday. Upon his return to Vancouver after the war, Reverend Follis made a cross-Canada fundraising pilgrimage, encouraging communities, churches, and individuals from all provinces and territories to contribute to the making of the stained glass windows. The first visit Reverend Follis made was to the Premier of BC at the time, the Honourable John Oliver, who reportedly said, "I am a poor man, but I would like to subscribe the first $100 towards the British Columbia window." The outcome of this pilgrimage is the windows that surround us in the sanctuary today, a true symbol of Canadian unity, with each window depicting a biblical narrative, motifs and histories unique to each province and territory, and brimming with longings for peace. These windows are a key factor in making Canadian Memorial a nationally historic church. In 1997, the decision was made to sell the Memorial Hall and tear down the 1962 addition, replacing it with what would become the Centre for Peace. The original Memorial Hall is still standing today. It's the big brick building right behind me. However, its interior has been renovated into apartment buildings, and sadly, there's no swimming pool anymore. The name Centre for Peace was agreed upon amidst a frenzy of recommended names brought forward by the community. The names seemed to fit perfectly with what the Memorial Hall had been for all its years, and for the work the center hoped to carry out in years to come. Over the past 28 years, the Center for Peace has continued to host groups that once dwelled in the Memorial Hall and has also opened its doors to and started new initiatives. As part of my research this summer, I had the privilege of sitting with longtime members of the community and listening to their stories. Stories of children learning to swim in the Memorial Hall pool and Sunday school graduations on this very stage. Stories of a maple tree planted to honor the Maple Group, a UCW that flourished here at Canadian Memorial for over 50 years. Endless stories of scouts, CGITs, and other children and youth programs. Sunday school picnics and retreats taken at Naramata. Stories of flower sales and fashion show fundraisers, galas and banquets, and art shows held. Stories told of teas drunk, soups made, shawls knit, tears cried, laughter shared, songs sung, prayers prayed, protests organized, friends hosted, and strangers welcomed. Peace is not passive, peace is radical. A quote that continued to dance through my mind as I worked this summer is from artist and poet Laurie Heaton. She writes, "You keep pairing me with quiet," peace said. "But my true companion is the mighty clamor of chains being ripped clean from the wall." In our scripture reading today, David writes, "One generation commends your works to another. They shall declare your mighty acts. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and your dominion endures through all generations." Through my work this summer, I have noticed the vital importance of sitting with our elders, the storytellers and the knowledge keepers, sitting with the goal of listening, not to respond, but to understand. In return, we must tell stories to our younger generations, instilling in them the value of peace, speaking to them not searching for a response, but in hopes of planting a seed. Through conversation and communal reflection, we remember, we remind, we keep alive the vision of peace, nurturing connection with ourselves, our neighbors, strangers, and with the Creator God. We are called, as George Follis was called, to be instruments of peace. In the words of St. Francis, "Lord, make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there is doubt, true faith in you." I invite you all, after today's service, to take a moment and go look at the Memorial Hall just across the street. Wander through the yard behind the Center for Peace. See if you can find remnants of the old building, traces of what once stood there. Take a moment with a window or pause at the books of remembrance. The ancestors of our congregation dwell in these spaces. They were and remain teachers in the ways of peace. I'd also like to welcome you to join me in the fireside room following the service, where I've gathered some archival materials for everyone to explore. Just no tea or coffee, please, in the room. And now I'd love to share with you a video featuring stories told by the knowledge keepers from our community.
The minute I walked into Canadian Memorial, I thought, no, this is where I belong. That I was blown away, of course, by the windows, but also by the story of the founding of the church.
Well, it was very formal when we first came. All the women wore hats and gloves to church. Nobody would have showed up in a pair of jeans. The center aisle at Canadian Memorial was a real drawing card for a lot of people. You know, they thought going down the center aisle in a wedding dress, you know, was just really cool.
once I got in the church, in the sanctuary part, I loved the center aisle. I loved the stained glass windows. And I still do. I still do.
So right away joined the Maple group and met all of these ladies who became good friends. And we were the youngest, young mothers group in the church. But we worked hard, we put on teas and fashion shows and it was really involved.
This is the United Church to me, the communal and making coffee and making stew and I used to get to cut the onions because I didn't cry. I was the only person that could cut onions without crying.
There was a kitchen, a big kitchen, and then the doors went into the gym. And I couldn't wait to be one of those ladies because I love washing dishes and I love doing all that stuff. And we'd look in the kitchen and I'd like, I'm going to be like that when I grow up.
The church, it was big at that time. The Sunday school was huge. 200, I think, kids in the Sunday school. They had a bus that used to go up around Arbutus Ridge area on Sunday morning to pick up the kids to bring them to Sunday school. It was, it was amazing.
The Sunday school picnic was huge. Everybody went down for the day and there were tents up and baseball games. And again, it was kind of the highlight of the summer.
There were lots and lots of people who, as children, swam in the swimming pool. There were lots of activities in that huge hall as well.
My husband actually was born in Vancouver, learned to swim there, so that's going back to the 30s probably, or 40s. I remember the gym, and we have events there.
Sunday school, swimming, CGITs, junior choir, Pacific Singer Choir I was in, senior choir. All of that was out of there.
Well, my kids are in their 60s now. So anyway, they all learned to swim in the Canadian Memorial Pool. But then the city said we would have to pay $1 million to upgrade it. So then it came about, all right, maybe if we sell the building, then we can build a center here. When this building was built, I can distinctly remember this discussion. What are we going to call this building?
We had a contest over what to name the Center for Peace. And I loved the name when it emerged. It was just so perfect. And I loved the new building.
Right now, it's perfect. It turned out to be, I think, a perfect name for the center, but I can remember there was a lot of discussion about what we were going to call this building.
I started here in 1998 as the Minister of Pastoral Care.
In 2006, there was a World Peace Forum in Vancouver. World Peace Forum. So we put our hand up and said, let's have some events here at the Center for Peace, after all. That's what it's called. So we did. So that was in 2006. And I was an organizer. We had the Great Hall open at that time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, chanting for peace. Wow. And it was really powerful, Abigail. You walk in the door and you could feel it. It was exciting for the Center for Peace to be used in that way.
I think this church in particular, or our church, we've tried to keep to that mission of peace because we're holders of this, Colonel Fallis's mission.
We may not be leading the world in peace ideas, but we're certainly keeping up and paying attention. Prayers often indicate that. We've got to, as the Center for Peace, be bold, make statements. The last thing I ever want to be known as is a wimpy Christian. We are supposed to be disturbers.
I have to thank my mom because she was a very quiet, faithful churchgoer. And I always sit in the fifth pew because that's where she always sat.
Canadian Memorial has always been able to, I say there's something in the DNA. We should be doing all we can to get peace in our world.
It's not just the doing, it's the why. Why am I doing it? And that's what keeps people going, the why.
The legacy of peace in this place guides us to new paths to trace, away from the strife of war, towards common ground let us soar. Oh, peace come reign in me. May my life be yours unselfishly. In our hearts the wars must end. It starts in us, this world to mend. Peace come reign. We lament over war and strife as we honor those who gave of their lives. We mourn the loss of soldiers brave. How can we carry on in this way? Oh, peace come reign in me. May my life be yours unselfishly. In our hearts the wars must end. It starts in us, this world to mend. Peace come reign.
Find common ground, love must grow. Through empathy, you and I mend.
When we can feel the pain of our foe, our enemy becomes our friend. Oh, peace come reign in me. May my life be yours unselfishly. In our hearts the wars must end. It starts in us, this world to mend. Oh, peace come reign in me. May my life be yours unselfishly. In our hearts the wars must end. It starts in us, this world to mend. Peace come reign. Peace come reign.
So given the focus on archives and the passing down of faith and the way of peace through the generations, we thought for our prayers of the people, we'd give it back over to you, the keepers of the stories, those who have inherited these gifts and stories through time. And I'm going to invite you to think about one person, could be gone from us, maybe still present, could be deceased or just moved away, who has had an impact on you in particular, or maybe on the whole congregation. And then stand where you are. JC's going to come with a mic, and stand where you are and just say the name of that person, and then just a phrase of what they contributed in the way of peace. So it could be Mrs. Pringle, my Sunday school teacher, or it could be Mr. Barr, who made the best potato salads, or what have you. And then after each person, if you've spoken a name and honored that person in our prayer, we're all going to respond with a refrain. There's a slide for that. After each person is recognized, we'll collectively respond with this refrain. And I'll start and end with prayer. So let's pray together. Creator God, Holy Other, the constant presence of love through all time and space, for all the people and all the memories over all the years who constitute the heart and soul of this community, we give thanks, remembering some of their names and the gifts they brought to our lives now. Just raise your hand if you have a name you'd like to speak out, and JC will come.
This is for Mrs. Josh, our fearless CGIT leader at the First United Church on Argyle Street in Port Alberni, thanking her for her patience and guidance for us CGIT girls.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
I'd like us to acknowledge Linda Denham, who has been lent her voice in the choir for years, was an M&P, has offered leadership in pastoral care, and is a beloved member of our congregation.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
I'd like to acknowledge Lonnie Delisle, who offered that wonderful composition for peace, Peace Come Rain, and who gave a lot to this congregation.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
I would like to acknowledge Verna Montgomery, who is 94 years old, and I visit her as part of pastoral care, and the joy and the gratitude that she expresses for every little thing that comes her way or doesn't.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
I'd like to acknowledge Ken Wotherspoon, who was my minister from my late teens and then for about 23, 24 years until he retired. He made a huge impact on my life. And also Daryl Downton, from when I was even younger, through many choirs through this church, helped me to appreciate and understand how to sing, kind of.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
I'd like to remember having been a member of this church since I transferred from the United Church in Calgary, where I grew up, Natalie Hall. She was the one who sponsored me, and she was like a second mother, because when I came to this church, it's 37 years ago, most of those who were here were my age that I am now. So this whole group of women were really important to me as mentors and someone to turn to if you were looking for some wisdom. And Kathy McPherson is another person who I knew all that time. She was our church secretary, and we were on the board together when the Center for Peace was built. So I have a lot of memories. I could name, 15 others. They're no longer with us. And so bless all their lives. Thank you.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
I would like to acknowledge Sam Weil, who lead meditation groups that I've been a part of for many years, and who've been a great influence on my life.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
I wanted to bring to mind Mary Gowans, who died at 91 in 2007. She used to drive trucks during the war, and I met her on a Remembrance Day at church here. And we met each other because we were both weeping and became fast friends. And she was the face of love for a lot of people in the church because of all the tragedies in her life that she forbeared.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
I would also like to remember a former minister of music here, Neil Weisensell. He predated Lonnie, and his only daughter, Miracle, who's my goddaughter, is with us today. Wow.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
I'd like to say the person in my mind is Stephen Tanner, who introduced me to all of you, and you have all been such a big part of changing my life and making my life and my whole world so much more peaceful. So thank you, Stephen.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
I would like to recognize Thais and Lee, who were very much involved in many projects here, and I always admire their dedication and their energy, and they never give up. So never give up. Keep going. Work for peace. Thank you.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
I'd like to remember Jocelyn Pritchard for her sense of fun and wisdom and the wonderful outings we had together.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
I give thanks for Bruce Sanguin and his innovative and challenging thinking.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
Hello, I'd like to acknowledge and recognize Alan McLean. Alan was the first person I met when I joined Canadian Memorial United Church, and I just will always remember his kindness towards me and towards others at the church.
One generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts.
I want to acknowledge Francis Kitson
for her lively energy and great sermons and all that.
One generation shall extol your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts.
I'd like today to remember Liz Turner, who has been an incredibly important influence on my own life, but also on my family's church of Hazel Grove Methodist in Manchester in the UK, and who still finds a way to build peace and make community and be involved in everything at age 96.
One generation shall extol your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts.
And I'd like to remember fondly Beth Haywood, whose radical love and inclusion allowed me to come back to church after many years' absence with a fairly clear conscience.
One generation shall extol your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts.
Well, Carol already took mine and Lloyd's, but we'd also like to recognize Lauren Kirky, who brought us to this church during a lesson on being transgendered. And when we walked into this church and felt the love of God surrounding this place, and could hear Bob McKenzie talk to us about more than 10,000 reasons why this church is alive and well. Well, we're sitting here alive and well in this church.
One generation shall extol your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts.
I would like to acknowledge Dr. George Darby of Bella Hospital and the Thomas Crosby boat.
One generation shall extol your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts.
I remember Eleanor Jackson. When I first walked into this church, she was here in her wheelchair. She said, "Sit here," and I've never left this spot. And I've kept coming ever since, but she was very involved with the prayer team for many, many generations and was a true example of love and peace. Thank you.
One generation shall extol your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts.
I want to recognize Namjal, who used to help create a welcoming presence in the congregation, and who also helped me learn that the church is a place that I could lean on the people in the church during times of challenge, not to change them, but to be in comfortive community.
One generation shall extol your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts.
I'd like to honor Sabrielle for her leadership and her voice that brings God to us.
One generation shall extol your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts.
Can you pass this in there? I would also like to acknowledge Mary Lou Whitaker for her many wonderful organizational abilities. She's organized so many events at Canadian Memorial, including all the activities for the World Peace Forum we held here at the church in 2006.
One generation shall extol your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts.
So many people to remember. I have been thinking about Pat Preston and her husband Will. Will always wore a suit to church, even when suits were passé. And he made coffee in the kitchen before anybody was here. And the Maple Circle kind of started to dwindle over the years, and the women weren't that interested anymore in doing everything for everybody. And she made Pie Day all by herself. She went out picking and, getting all the berries, and she made all the shells, and she put it all together, and she froze them, brought them, and sold them for $12 a pop for all of us. And we all looked forward so much to Pie Day, and I'll always remember her and her husband.
One generation shall extol your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts. I know we could keep going. The ancestors are listening. They're present and they're listening. And I can tell from the prayers offered that all of you will make wonderful ancestors one day. And to me, who works with children and youth, that's a really important thing. So let's just close with this prayer. For these and so many unnamed, we give thanks. Our stories are built on the foundation of their witness to faith and lives lived in the way of Jesus, and we are grateful. Amen. So I'd like to invite the greeters to come around with offering plates now. This is one way to continue the work of peace, the vision of this church community. You can give by loose change. You can use the envelopes that are in the pews in front of you and offer some cash or a check, or you can go online and donate that way. And while those plates are coming around, just to alert you to a few announcements, there is a virtual coffee hour. We've already mentioned that. And the in-person, including the archival display, mostly photo albums, but some other items as well upstairs in the fireside room, and get people telling more stories there. There's a new table over at the Center for Peace, the Climate Action Table. That's not today, though. That's coming up, I think, but I wasn't given the specs on this ahead of time. So that's going to be coming in a few weeks. I don't know if there's someone here who wants to speak to that more specifically, or will maybe give it more attention. Elizabeth, did you want to say something?
Well, there is a street-talk workshop I will do about climate. And I will have some information about it, but it's actually called the Community Action Table, because the idea is that we can alert each other of different things that are happening in the community that we might not support, like peace events, climate events, and so on. So there's a little table there with information for the workshop that's coming up.
Okay, so that is today over in the Great Hall. There will be a table set up with information. Another peace initiative, peacemaking initiative. So thank you.
Just to clarify on the cap, this is a community action table, as Elizabeth said. All you have to do is email me to book it for any sort of community action that you want to highlight and take. This is a permanent table at coffee hour. And so climate isn't necessarily the first C. The first C is community. So feel free to reach out and email me at any point.
Thanks, Jason. Okay, and this is a fun one. Jeff, being Jeff, our beloved community lead minister, is switching it up. Next week is supposed to be blessing of the backpacks. But he says, why stop at the backpacks? Like, bring your briefcase, bring your computer. If you're anybody starting into a new rhythm in the fall and you want whatever your working day-to-day materials are blessed, bring it. And there'll be a blessing in the service next week, not just for the young ones in the backpacks, but for all of us launching into a new season. And then a reminder that there is a sermon series coming up. It will be a Bible study on the book of Revelation called The End of the World as We Know It. So that starts the first week in September. It will be held here in the West Transept. And you're invited to bring questions, comments, confusions, opinions. That group is open to all. Okay, Sabriel, over to you.
I encourage you to stand as you're able and join us in singing Keep Your Eyes on the Prize.
Got my hand on the gospel plow, wouldn't take nothing for my journey now. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on. Freedom ain't mighty sweet, one of these days we're gonna meet. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on. Hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on. All in silence, we're bound in jail. Had no money for the bail. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on, hold on. Silas thought they were lost. Dungeon shook and the chains come off. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on.
Only thing I did was wrong, staying in the wilderness too long. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on,
hold on.
Only thing we did was right, was the day we started to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on.
Hold on,
Hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the
prize, hold on.
So we are all beneficiaries of the love of God, a love passed down to us from the generations before, and a love that we're entrusted with to pass on to the generations to come. So go into this week and be extravagant with that love. Receive it when it comes to you. Don't look away. And give it freely to all you meet, that the world might be reconciled and all live together in peace. Amen.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. in peace.